Ricky takes over the lead. Oh, lands on the back of Carmichael.
Undefeated on the new bike, Ryan Villopoto wins Unadilla.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Title 24 presented by NBC Sports. Coming at you. I'm Ricky Carmichael alongside my co-host Ryan Villopoto. Got a great show for you today. Really excited. We got a special guest, and you know what, RV? I think we're gonna bring him right off the bat, and let's just get to it. And there he is, Jase Macalpine, the host of Gypsy Tales. And man, Jase, first and foremost, dude, welcome to the U.S. Glad that you're back. It's been some time. I want to congratulate you just on how far you've come with Gypsy Tales and the story. Love your work. And dude, welcome. How's it going?
No, man, first of all, I really appreciate it. Yeah, we definitely go way back. So I think you're one of the guys that's kind of like seen it. Yeah. Seen it from the very start, but man, I've just literally been on a moto tour of America the last couple of weeks. It was Washougal, and then I lived in a motorhome for a week at the ranch and hit up the beer tent and showered in the creek and did all the good stuff. So, man, I'm living the dream.
That's
Jase. What'd you think of Loretta's for your first time actually? And you were there wire to wire from start to finish.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I thought it was amazing. I would actually love to go there and try and qualify for it one day. And I think it's, you could get pretty deep on Loretta's. And I think, here it's, a lot of people have like opinions of it. There's too much emphasis on one race and it's the greatest thing in the world. But from like being at the event on the ground, talking to people like yourself and, like guys like Paul Perubinos, Nick Way, like everyone has a Loretta's story. And, your generation grew up at Loretta's. That was the summer camp, and it's still got that vibe. And man, there was zero bad vibes there. There was like, everyone was having fun. Everyone was like mingling. The racing was amazing. And I think it's pretty special that you can, that's the world. That's the best races in the world that, that go there. And, to be a kid, say you're 12 to 15, and if you make Loretta Lynn's in a class, you're one of the 40th baddest dudes in America, which puts you way up there in the world kind of rankings, So I think that it's a very unique system that they've created over the years. And I think that it builds, there's so much pressure there. There's so much emphasis on that one race. Like if you can win that championship, like you're a bad dude, no matter what. And then, you can see, probably you could speak to this, RB, like you can not win at the ranch for your entire career almost, and then that almost fuels you into your professional career. So it's such a crazy crucible that has produced some amazing talent. So it was really, really honestly cool to be a part of it.
Hey, that leads me to something, RV and Jase. We were talking on our adventure ride this week about like multi-time champions, at SMX level, pro level, that didn't have much success at Loretta's, like you think about, yourself, you won, quite a bit at Loretta's RV, but not like as much as some guys, but you're one of the greats and, at the top level. Isn't it crazy how that works out?
Yeah, it is. It is really, like Jay said, all the emphasis on one round or one race, let's say. But it was funny. I was talking to guys driving in. I was driving in flew into Nashville, drove in, checked out Broadway really quick, and then went to the track. And I think I was telling my mom or somebody, and I was like, "You'd be blown away with what the race has evolved into." And it's still the same old Loretta Lynn's. It's still the same at the same place. The track's evolved a little bit, but like Vendors Row now is down along the river, plus Vendors Row at where Vendors Row used to always be down the main drag by the Fox Tower, and behind the little Coliseum up top. And it's almost coming to a head of where it's like there's spectators now that come here that come just to like literally drink beer and watch some amazing racing, and then go in the river, go check Loretta Lynn's house out up the road, It's a pretty badass destination. I'm only realizing that now that I'm older. I haven't been raced there. Everybody asks, when you coming back to race? I'm like, I'm never racing in this place. It's too hot. It's way too rough. And I'm out, so, but I love going, and I'd love my kids to experience it one day, but I'm only going if we go to race.
Yeah. Hey, Jase, being from Australia, I mean, I can only imagine the commitment that it takes for an Australian young amateur, like aspiring rider to come over there. I wish that there was an easier avenue for kids like that to come and be exposed to that. Do you think that there is a positive there for guys like young youth in Australia, because you're from there, having that opportunity and what that could bring to them?
Me and my brother actually were talking about it the other day, because I was sort of catching up with him through the week, and I was like, man, this is just so cool. And I said, like, we should try and qualify, like now I'm over here, I'll get some bikes and let's just go do an area and a regional. But he was like, man, it'd be cool if there was like a qualifier in Australia, or, I mean, that maybe I definitely think that there would be a lot of kids that would do it. And shout out to some Aussie guys, man. I mean, Huxley Nolan was there, Tiger Wood was there, Brad West, who I'm with in California now. I mean, and there was more too. So there is Aussie families that commit. They know that this is the route to the professional ranks, and it was pretty cool to see some Aussie kids there. But I think to your point too, RV, like, man, I went for a hang, and I thought to myself, and I had a lot of people hitting me up on Instagram being like, can anyone just go and watch? Like, could I go next year? And I think for the, however long Loretta's has been going, like, I actually think that event can still grow and become even, more of a spectacle. And there's guys that, like, I would take an RV again to drink beers and
dude, it's like a grown-up spring break, right?
It's almost like
you
Woodstock
wonder,
with motocross.
I would want my kids to qualify just so I could go there and party down and have a good time with people.
I said this to somebody the other day. I said, it's almost like a redneck yacht club, where you post up in a big field with 5,000 people, and all you do is ride side by sides and drive swamp buggies. It's kind of like that. It's very grassroots. But obviously there's a reason why people are there, and that's chasing that Loretta's championship. I mean, like Ricky, my year that I won a championship was my last time at the ranch. And then I went
to Binghamton. Everyone that's tuned in, listen to us three today. Think about how gnarly that is and not to take anything away from Loretta's. I mean, I think it's super important. I think if you go there and you showcase your talent, it certainly is going to give you opportunities to propel your future 100%. But like, again, RV, one of the best guys to do it, multi-time champion at the elite level, Supercross, Motocross, you name it. And dude, you won on your last trip. And that's where I wanted to ask both of you guys this. I want your honest opinion. We were talking about this also on our ride this week. If you're a team manager and you've been around great teams, RV, Jase, you as well, back when you were in the States. So if you're looking at a prospect and they go out and they crush it at Loretta's, but then at the time, which I'm a massive fan of the Supercross Futures, I think it gives those guys an opportunity to get out there in the real world and see what they can do. And it's helpful to teams, manufacturers and team managers. What do you think is more important? You're basing it on who you're going to hire. A guy that goes out and crushes Loretta's, or a rider that goes out and does really, really well in the Futures? Which one you guys going with?
Jase, you want to go first, or?
Man, Travis Pastrana has a saying, winners win. And, I think that the good thing about Loretta's, so here's what Loretta's doesn't transfer over. The track's super weird. There's never 3 motos over a week. Like, there's so many factors that are in the Loretta Lynn's championship that you won't face as a pro. So do you need to win Loretta's to be a successful pro? No, Ryan, you've proved that, over your career. But I think that you can see, so like Tiger Woods, for example, like, I mean, you could just see he was one of the dudes. Vincent Way, same deal. Dax Bennick, like there was some guys where they hit a level and you see that like they're the dude at the ranch, you know. And then so I think just like seeing a guy with all that pressure, all the eyes, all the focus, and the crazy thing about Loretta's too, which I don't think unless you're there. So like I left on Sunday. Like I got there Sunday, left on Sunday. I went out into civilization. I was like, dude, I've been in a vortex. Like you can't even see. Like the whole place is like surrounded by. I was just in like this weird vortex for like a week. So I think for a kid to be able to handle that type of pressure at a young age, I think that speaks volumes of like their character and like who that person is. But again, you can just as easily say like, hey, this is a very weird race that doesn't translate directly to nationals. So I guess that would be my roundabout answer.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. It's a very unique track. I mean, personally, if we could solve the world's problems right here, let's do it. But I kind of see that, like, to your point of all this expectation, all this years worth of work comes down to 1 week. And a lot of times you'll have a moto on Monday, and then it's one moto on Tuesday, and one on, you know, and they're all spread out. So there's so many different factors, and then there's the rain involved, and they got dumped on the last 3 days.
It was gnarly.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So I do think that to answer the first question is I actually, if I'm picking a rider, I'm looking for not somebody that, and I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to look at what they drove there, what kind of bus they have, how much is invested into their program. You know, how does the kid, how does the kid rebound from something? What's his attitude? And number one, he's got to be fast and, you know, be up front. Now, does he have to win? I don't think he has to win. I think he's got to show, you know, a bad start coming, you know, a 10th place start coming up to third. Okay, now that kid's got some heart. Where was his lap times when he was running through the pack to come up? Those are all things I would look at. And as for Loretta's itself, I would love to see it be like almost a triple crown. And meaning one, it goes to always have Loretta's, but then I would throw in 2 outdoor nationals that are easy to get to, that everybody can get to, and have 2 other conditions of racing motorcycle track. Because let's face it, I road practice on Monday, and I'm not joking. I came off and I was like, holy cow, this track is insanely rough.
Glad you weren't racing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, how's
Brownie
the track?
said it was
like,
the roughest he's ever seen it.
Yeah.
It totally. And I was telling somebody why, and I was like, because they're like, why is it so rough? And I'm like, because you have a PW50 that can barely get around the track, and then you have plus 50 class so your braking bumps essentially we're used to them into the turn, down the straightaway on the gas, no bumps, all of a sudden braking bumps. There was braking bumps from the entry of the turn, out of the turn, down the straightaway, into the next turn. There wasn't a spot on the track that was smooth, and I'm not
And
joking.
they build up the sides of it, so you can't go anywhere. Like, you're boxed in. Like, it's crazy, dude.
Dude, I remember when I raced there, and I think it was 2012, and I'm not kidding you. I never did one fast lap in practice because we were out there with like the 50-plus class, and then I dreaded every single lap out there. There was nothing fun about it. I'm like, dude, I should have just came here with the family, camped out, not raced, and been drinking beer, cheering on my friends, watching, and just being there like a festival, like you guys were talking about it earlier. It's almost like a destination. It's like a music festival, but for dirt bikes. It truly is. There's so much to do, right? And there's so many things that keep you occupied. And I don't know that I'll ever go back there and race, but I damn sure would go back there to hang out for the week and watch my friends' kids race.
Yeah, it was, dude. It brought out everybody. You know, it brought a bunch of people out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
you know,
it was
I haven't
crazy.
seen Kevin Windham in a long time, so I got to hang with Kevin. Obviously, he was hanging with Bradshaw. You know, me and Bradshaw worked with the Yamaha crew, but like there was a bunch of dudes. You know, like it's really guys that you like. I haven't heard about him in 10 years or whatever this, or 5 years or this or that. Or I mean, I know J Law came out, bro.
Yeah, dude, that's right.
Did you guys get down?
I was looking for him.
It was sick, actually. Oh, dude, were you there when he was? Were you there? You'd left the day before, right?
I got in the day he got in, I think, or I left the day he got in. So it would have been cool, like all the to see. I mean, I don't know who's seen Jason, but I personally haven't seen Jason since his last year racing, which would have probably been 10 or so. Right. So it's been a long time.
So we walked up and we were watching motos, and then I was like, oh, so this happened yesterday with Brownie. He's like, yeah, I watched the feed. So like he knew everything. He knew everyone, where everyone qualified. Like he's such a legitimate fan of the sport still, you know, and like he's a funny dude. He was like ribbing Malcolm. He's like, you've raced 4 outdoor races in your entire career. Like he was just ripping on everyone. It was pretty cool to see.
That's awesome.
It's cool. I like that. I mean, look, I think there's, you know, I think if some of these guys that maybe have stepped out and haven't stepped back into the industry, and they've been gone for 5 to 10 years or whatever, like if they're, say, nervous or, you know, not sure how things are gonna how they're gonna be received when they step back in. But dude, it's not like that. It's like guys, their eyes are this big around when you walk into the stadium or walk into the pits or walk, you know, down the starting straight at Loretta. You're like, dude, there's no way. Is that Jason? Dude, we haven't seen him. And so it's really cool to see that and then fire back all the conversations and like him dishing it out. And I'm sure he can, you know, take it as well as he can dish it out, you know? So I think that's what's really cool is just get back to the races and check it out. Cause there's no egos really involved anymore, especially for us for racing. You know, it's nice to see all those old dudes.
It is. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I got.
And then you can realize, okay, he's still I don't like him. Oh, he's totally changed. I'm into him now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no doubt. But it's cool though how it kind of makes full circle because, dude, when you're racing, you really feel like, man, that guy would be so fun to go have beers with, but or whatever and hang out. But it's our sport is so competitive, as you know, and that's what I really liked when I retired from racing to be able to go back and talk to guys like K-Dub and just have that relationship or build that type of relationship where there's no animosity, there's no competition. And because at the end of the day, we are all doing what we loved and we're racing against each other, but we're just normal humans, right?
Well, and I think you guys don't, like, you can't, like, we can't relate on the same level. Like, I've been to Budds Creek, but I haven't gone 1-1 across the nations on a 250, you know? So it's like, there's a different level of like relatability. And I think that if you guys walked around in your everyday life, never having talked to any of the boys that you went through this with, you're almost like dudes that have been to war and you've just come back and there's like nobody around you that knows what it was like when you're in those trenches, you know? So like, it would be sad for you guys to not have those friendships. And I know both of you guys, like, you're still very competitive. Like, you still like to, you know, to talk smack with the boys. And it's like, there's only a level that you can do that with. And you got to be like one of those dudes to be on that level.
Right. You got to back up.
It can get nasty around the campfire at around 10:30, 11.
Yeah.
We start dishing it out.
Oh yeah. Big time. Hey, Jay, so for the people, I mean, you got a massive following on Gypsy Tales, and you've done a fantastic job. We talked about it when we were introing you in on the show. But like, explain to us. So you were shooting videos, and we got a short story for you to tell you guys once we're done letting Jase tell his story and how he got up and how he came up with Gypsy Tales and all that. So you were doing videos. You're living here in the States, and you went back to Oz, and so like. How did you come up with Gypsy Tales, and like just give us the quick story?
It was kind of just born out of necessity in a weird way. So like, as you know, I was filming, I think my first trip over here was Parla 2010, and then went to Motocross Nations, and I was like filming the Aussie guys. It was like Matt Moss and Brett Metcalf on the team. I was filming in Australia, so I had a bunch of footage of those guys. So then I kind of added that to like the Red Bull broadcast of, you know, the pool of footage. And then, man, I was just like, dude, I love it here. Like, I want to kind of be here and keep doing the filming thing. And then did that pretty much all the way up until 2018. And then I just got a weird dude at customs that just was not stoked on me being there, and said I was doing a bunch of stuff that I don't think that I was doing. And I ended up just basically getting the doors locked on me. And I had to kind of like figure out this whole deal to get back. And I ended up getting sick at the same time, so I was like going back and forward, which I think that's what made it look weird from on this guy's end. But yeah, I literally just left America in like May 2018 and didn't really have a pathway to sort of get back here. My career here was done basically, and it's crazy. So Jeremy Malott from Red Bull, we're at Ryan Dungey homegrown shoot, the one in the cornfields.
Yeah.
And so he said, he's like, dude, we need to get this voiceover with Dunge, but I want it to be like real natural, like almost podcast audio. So he literally gave me his Red Bull card and said, go to Guitar Center, get some mics, and like let's you do a podcast with him to like we'll try and get this audio. And so we did like this 2.5 or 2 hour podcast with me, Dunge, and Adam LaRoche, the owner of the property. He was like a Major League Baseball guy. And it was unreal. It was like one of the coolest things I'd ever done in my life. And like that's how the podcast essentially started.
Wait, was this before you came across the dude in customs, or was this right
before? So it was kind of like right before. And so like I had my work visa for a while, and then that ended. And then it's just things you have to do to like kind of get ducks in a row in America to kind of like get the visa that I was trying to get. So I was coming back and forth trying to get that happen basically. So it was just like a kind of crazy, weird time. But looking back on it now, I mean, it's probably one of the best things.
It's almost a blessing, right?
Oh, huge, man. Yeah, it was crazy the way that it worked out. And I mean, I had like literally no money, 2 cameras, the mics that I got through that Red Bull thing. But Dunge said to me after it, he was like, man, that was honestly one of the most enjoyable things I've done media wise. And he said, I think you should try and do this. And I mean, I really enjoyed it as well. And I was a huge like podcast fan. Well, I'd only ever listened to Joe Rogan basically. So that to me was like what a podcast was. So I was like, oh, I'll just do a podcast. And I was like, he does it for 3 hours, I'll do it for 3 hours. And yeah, I had nothing else to do. I got super obsessed with making it work. And then ironically, it did so well that I was able to get a visa and come back 5 years later. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy ride. And I'm definitely very, very grateful to be back here in the position that I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you do a great job. You know, it being a long form, it's relaxed. You know, you kind of I feel like the setting, the way your approach, it kind of makes you feel vulnerable. You know, and you feel like you can open up. And I think that's what you do. Who was your first episode? I mean, I know you're talking about Dunge. I think that was for Red Bull, but for straight up Gypsy Tale,
Malcolm McCassie and Nick Avenue.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, and it was crazy. So I did that one pretty much right after Homegrown. I went back and I was like, all right, I'll try and do it. And I actually drove to Vegas Monster Cup with Jeremy and Malcolm, and we were just telling stories the whole way. And then Jeremy's like, all right, this needs to be on the podcast. So then he came with Nick, and then we did that. And then it was literally right after that, I think I sat on it for a few months because everything kind of went down, and I ended up going home. And then, yeah, it was kind of a weird time. Like Toby Price won the Dakar, so he came home. My brother manages him, so he came home, and I was like, sweet, I'll get him on the podcast. And then my friend Harley Clifford, he's a monster athlete. He won his 10th wakeboard world championship, and I was like, oh, I'll get him on the show. And it sort of just kind of snowballed, and it was in this was early 2018 when it wasn't as big as what it is. So right time, right place, right people kind of thing. Perfect storm.
Yeah.
What is there anything that I was like, what is there one thing you don't like about what you do, or do you love everything about it? Like, is there one thing you're like, dude, I kind of don't like this part of it?
I don't know. Like, I feel like you got to kind of take the good with the bad. Like, there's definitely some stuff. I think a lot of people often, well, when you're getting millions of views every single month, like, you can't control who watches it, you know? And there's some people where I'm like, hey, bro, this isn't for you. don't tune in. But it's on YouTube every single day, whether you're subscribed or not, like that comes up on people's feed. So, but even that, I'm just like, you know what? It's good for the sport. Like, it's good to have opinions. It's good to like someone. It's good to not like someone. But yeah, honestly, I just feel extremely lucky to do what I do. And I love to, I like to try and be like a positive force in the sport as well, and add something a little bit different, give a bit of a different lane. And I think even like the YouTube stuff, like I think people didn't really see the value in YouTube until the podcast started doing as good. And that I think it's great that there's a lot more guys that are doing a lot more stuff on YouTube now. And because I'm a fan of other sports, you know, and I was like, man, Moto doesn't have this, and so yeah, to me it's like a really fun project of like, how can we kind of build this thing up, and hopefully the sport comes up with it in a sense, you know, if I do like my stuff over here, right?
Yeah, I think it's good too, being in the position that you're in, you know, that you can. I mean, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't think there's a ton of politics, being that you're on your, you know, you can kind of call the shots and direct your show the way you want to direct it, have the guests you want to have, and really drive the show the vision that you see it, where you see it going, which I think is something, you know, unique. Obviously, one thing about our sport is if you have that niche, you can make something, you know, happen, just like your story and how it started. It started out with a Red Bull gig, and then they're like, oh, well, let's do this. And, you know, it's just a perfect storm thing, but you can make it work. And like Ricky asked, what do you hate about it? You know, I could look at maybe in your position, the you don't like, you don't do.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. And like,
you're not owned by anyone, right? I mean, you have partners, but you're no conflicts, if you will, to RV's point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I think too, though, like there's like an internal responsibility that comes with that, though. So I think that, like, hey, there's definitely people that post videos on YouTube talking about our sport that, like, there's no politics. They're not owned by anyone, and they're saying some way out there stuff. So yeah, I think there's definitely like a responsibility that comes with having an audience. And there's probably a couple things that I regret, like maybe not me saying, but the guest saying, and then me maybe not like filtering that out. But it was a while ago. But yeah,
you live and learn, dude. You live.
Yeah. But I think that over time, when you realize, like, okay, there's a lot of people listening, this has influence. Like JH has even texted me, so a bit like, don't say that. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, fair enough. So
I think too, like, I mean, now that you have so many episodes under your belt, and the following that you have, and I think now, I mean, yeah, you can still speak freely, but you still do it respectfully. You know what? You're entitled to your own opinion. You may not believe in what everyone does. You might believe in what one person does over the other person. But I think that there's a way to, and you've done a great job at this, a way to get your message across and your feeling without being condescending or disrespectful. I think personally, like what you do, that's the way to go. And, you know, because you can say what you need to say and it not come across, or like I said, be condescending or disrespectful, you know?
And the thing is, I'm down to be wrong too. I'm definitely, you know, and like I've texted you at times asking you what you think about stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, and, you know, I never want to come across like I know everything, or I always feel like I'm right. Like right now, my hobby horse that I'm riding is like, we should limit scoop tires to like only certain tracks, because I get feedback from riders that say, I wish we didn't have to use a scoop today, but the starts rip so deep. So like, you know, that's my little hobby horse that I'm on right now. It's like, I'm down to be wrong, you know, and like, I'm not going to chuck my toys out of the cot if no one listens to me. It's my opinion, something I've noticed, what I'm thinking about. I'm going to talk about it, and it gets other people talking as well, you know.
That's right. Last question before we let you go. We're super appreciative. This has been an epic show. So we did a Fox photo shoot right in Costa Rica. We want to tell the story. It's kind of sad. Like it shook me. I gotta tell you, dude.
I was rattled.
All what we're gonna share with you guys, it messed me up for the rest of the day. So we're in Costa Rica. You know what? This is what I always say. I'm not good at telling stories, whether it was about me or whatever it might. So you tell everyone tuning in today what the story was, where we were, given the whole background.
So this is where me and Ricky we really we trauma bonded. So yeah, we're in Costa Rica on a fox shoot, and it was a slog. I think it was one of the last days, and so we'd shot this motocross thing. We were walking this like $70,000 drone through the jungle like this. It was an experience, this whole trip. And so Austin Faulkner was there on a super mini. You were there. And one of the last days we were doing like this kind of trail riding stuff, like trying to get these shots of them ride down by the river. And we were walking for hours. The boys were riding, and we were walking through this jungle for hours and hours. And we're like, when is this going to end? And that's like, there's a resort at the end of this road. And we're like, no, there's
going. And we're going through, I don't want to we're going through, we are going like up these mountains. They're rocky, like, and our bikes aren't great, right? Okay. And you got to go back to whatever year that was. And like GPS was
14.
spotty, cell service was spotty. And I'm just like, dude, there's no way we're getting any good footage. There was like no GoPro footage, and you guys were following us right on the trail. Everything was so narrow. So like to get a shot was almost impossible.
That was the dog days.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to drones back then. You remember the drones back then? The propellers were like that long, dude. They were so long. But go ahead. Go ahead.
The anxiety that you would feel when that thing was in the air was out of control because it was literally $70,000. And so we've all stopped at this point. We're like, all right, everybody, we're on the walkie-talkies. Let's gather together. Like, let's meet up at this point. So we're just standing there chilling, and then we just hear this. We're all like, what is that? And so there's this cow that's just laying with like this stiff neck just frozen, and we're just like, oh no, this thing's cooked. So we sort of like went over and we're like rubbing it and trying to like see what the deal is with it. And RC's like, I'm telling you, bud, that thing's done. Like it's on its way
done.
Dude,
and so we were in this spot awkwardly standing for maybe like half an hour, like, and waiting for everyone to kind of like come back together. And this thing's just dying. Like in front of
dude, we're in the middle of nowhere, right? We're looking at each other, and you can tell it's laboring, and you're like, dude, man, like, is it maybe it's just hot, like who knows? And we're like, we're like petting it and rubbing, like just trying to comfort
massaging it.
Oh, like it wasn't gonna matter anyways. But I'm telling you, Jase, that messed me up, bro.
It was heavy, and it just let out this one big final croak, and that was it.
It was like we were all just kind of looking at each other. You gotta think, dude. Like we are in the middle of Costa Rica in the mountain country, like no service, nothing, just all of us just sitting here. We were young at the time, and just like, dude, what? Like the conditions weren't great, and we're watching this poor cow take its last breath, and it was messed up, dude.
Maybe you should have put him out of his misery sooner.
We were talking about it. We were literally like, has anyone got a knife? And then RC's like, bro, that's way too gnarly. You can't do that. And then I'm like, well, we could. I was like, we can't break his neck. It's not a chicken. Like,
dude, remember, I still got pictures of Faulkner. Remember how little he was then, dude? Like he's falling asleep at dinner and stuff.
He was literally a kid, eh? Oh, yeah, that was one of the most random things in my entire life. And I remember being like, probably would have been like 20 something at the time, and just being like, this is easily the most random day of my life. Like once that cow died, I was like, this is it.
Who was on that trip with us? You, me, Faulkner,
Wes Williams,
Fox, Wes Williams,
Chris Creamer.
Yeah, Chris.
Who else was on there? We had someone doing photos as well.
Yeah.
Everyone
had their own kind of like not plan, but their own duty of what they needed to do, just trying to be super organized. But that was back when like it was. That was back when Fox was like on a big like they were in all sports. Remember, they were in surf and all that fun stuff. So, then we went to Ernesto's party. Remember, it was his mom's 50th birthday.
His mom's 50th birthday, and we were singing Bohemian Rhapsody karaoke.
Dude, do you remember? Hey, RV. So I don't know if you remember this, Jase, but I mean, Ernesto was gassed, dude. He was so blown out, and he's running into me in his wheelchair, right? And like slapping me and hitting me like, in the parts where he didn't need to be hitting me. I'm like, dude, stop, dude. And he kept on. And I had to like, listen, dude, if you do it one more time, I'm going to get you out of your wheelchair, bro. I'm telling you right now. And he just kept going. Dude, he was so faded, but it was fun. I think he's the only dude that spoke English at that party. Other than us.
For sure. And his granddad kept giving me, what did he call it, contrabano or something like that? And it was like their moonshine. I was wasted. And then we drove home. You remember when we drove back, we had like the bus that we were driving around in, and Costa Rica had just won a soccer game. Do you remember? And we were driving.
No, I don't remember.
Dude, we're driving home, and they just won a soccer game, and it took like an hour to get home because the streets, dude, it was like a celebration, like people were on roofs and there were like Costa Rican flags everywhere. Police were just driving around with their lights on just for the hell of it. It was a sick trip.
We'll have to, you guys tuning in today, we'll have to see if Curly has some pictures of that. I mean, the guy's he takes pictures everywhere we go. So we'll have to post it up on our Instagram. Let's pay some bills. We got to thank United Motorsports for being a great partner. Ray Butts, he's a massive player over there. He was on our trip. He's a hell of a rider. But anyhow, United Motorsports, they are a fantastic company. 6 dealers across Kentucky and Ohio. Check them out online, unitedmotorsports.com. Then, of course, we've got Quad Lock Case. We're going to have a Quad Lock Case question of the week coming up for you. Go to quadlockcase.com. Then, of course, Boxo USA. Hopefully, you guys that were at Loretta's got to see their setup. They gave 2 boxes out to all the champions. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Love what Boxo's doing. You can check them out at boxousa.com. And remember, promo code is Title24 for 10% off everything site-wide. Check them out. And you can get 10% off. I know everyone likes to save a little bit of cheddar. As we get into racing, we're going to bring Jase back in. And RV, we got some questions. This one comes from Tank Eater. He says, does Hunter still go 450 next year if Deegan wins the title? RV, you go first.
Does Hunter go 450
if Deegan
wins the title? Honestly, that's a tough one. I think that I'm different than some other guys.
You think he stays back if he didn't win and Hayden won?
I think if he doesn't win and Hayden wins, and I'm looking at it from a revenue standpoint and a championship standpoint, you got Jett already up there. For Hunter to think, or for anybody to think that when Hunter jumps up in his rookie year, that he's going to now beat a 1 year into the series, or 1 year into his 450 career Jett, I think that's a long shot, very, very long. So I do know that it's kind of time for him to move up. So that's a hard question. I don't know if I can give you a straight answer. Maybe Jase has got a different way of looking at it. So it's tough. I don't know what I would do, because I'm looking at it from the revenue standpoint, and Hunter should win a lot of races and probably both championships next year also in the lights class.
What are you hearing, Jase? I mean, well, number one, do you think Hunter goes to 450 if Deegan wins? Like, what are you hearing, and what do you think?
I think that if Hayden Deegan wins this title, I'm getting out of Dodge.
I like that.
If I'm Joe Shimoda, I'm getting out of the 250 class. If I'm RJ, I'm getting out of the 250 class. I think that what you've seen with him in the last 12 or 10 months is just a kid that has just grown in confidence. And I sent a message to Brian months ago, and I just because they're competitive and they're wanting to win, but I think they're doing it smart. But I just said to him, man, like just let the kid get second, because imagine that kid getting second in his rookie year, and then Hunter does move up to the 450 class. Then what's in Hayden's brain? Well, I'm going to win every single moto. That's the only dude that could beat me, and he's gone. So I'm going to win everything. So I mean, I think that win or lose this year, then Deegan's going to be so insanely full of confidence. And then, I mean, you guys spoke about it last time, but that ride at Washougal, I mean, I was there, and you could literally see it. Like, you didn't even have to look at a lap time. You didn't need to know anything from a timing and scoring perspective. Like, that dude was on something, like he flipped a switch and went crazy. And I think that was a career defining point in his life. And to think about that as well, he had his worst weekend of his career 1 week earlier.
Right.
So you think about what it takes to rebound from having the red plate, losing the red plate. Like most rookies, that would kind of melt them down. Right. And he went to another level. So I think, and to speak on Hunter, it's like, I think he's probably ready. I think he's probably better on a 450. I think we saw Jett be better on a 450. I think that there's a riding style that those guys have been working on for years and years and years and years, and it really lends itself to a 450. And I think that, Jett was really eager to make that jump. And I think they knew things we didn't know. They knew, like, this translates well to a 450. And I think that Hunter will be thinking that same thing. So I think Hunter's probably going to want to leave. I think Deegan's probably going to be the man. So yeah, that would be my take on it.
That's a hell of a take. I don't know that I don't think I disagree with you, because to what you said, I personally think, and I've loved the progression. We've talked about it a million times. I'm not going to talk about it anymore just for time's sake, but dude, the guy has answered the bell every time, and Deegan is only going to be better next year. Outside of an injury, he is only going to be better. You've seen it time and time again. He proved himself in Supercross, and he's proven himself in Motocross. He gets better and he rebounds. He doesn't make the same mistake twice very often, and that's massive. Hey, MX Racer 98Y, his Instagram. Will Roxon end the streak at Unadilla? So I heard that he's not racing Unadilla now. You two go. Jase, you go first this time. If he races, does he beat Jett?
Well, Jett, if you look at a track Jett didn't do well at last year, it was Unadilla. Like, that was a bit of a bad weekend for him. But again, I think, like, there's just something to be said for what he can do on a 450. Like, let's be honest, 250s are slow. Like, in comparison, what you have to do, the way you have to ride it, where you have to be in the power. I mean, I'm a vet rider, and it's like I get on a 250 and I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. But it's like just where you got to ride the bike, I'm like, I need to be slower and lower gears. And I think that, so in my head, I'm like, is Unadilla a bad track for Jett? Or is Unadilla a track that on the 250 with the way that you got to ride it, it's just not the way that it just doesn't jive with him, But yeah, I think at this point in the season, with the amount of motos that he's won, I think that if you were a person that was betting and you put money, you would be an idiot to bet against Jett.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, RV? So if anyone lines up.
I think to Jase's point about Unadilla, to ride a 250 there, some of these 250s, or 250 riders, you really got to wring the neck of the motorcycle, and you can't bury it, but you got to be riding that ragged edge to really go fast. Where watch Jett, now that he's on the 450, he's very methodical. He doesn't have to be, on the rev limiter or just wide open everywhere. He's very methodical on where he goes, his line selection, his roll speed. So I personally, maybe he didn't do good last year at Unadilla, but I consider Unadilla a track where Hunter and Jett can do very, very well, because it's so wide. There's lots of lines to choose from. To be creative on that track is pretty easy to do because of how wide it is and just the way the track's laid out. It's one of my favorite tracks to race is Unadilla. So I think we see. I don't think anybody beats him at Unadilla. I just think the way how he rides the motorcycle, the speed he can go, and then being on a track like that, and now on a 450, I think you're really going to be able to see him. I don't think it's going to be a race. I think he's just going to tiptoe out there looking like he's doing some ballerina out there, and he's going to wax everybody.
Right. Hey, this, like, do you ever feel, guys, like, we're trying to make, or the industry is trying to make up scenarios or stories of why, like, making up stories of how Jett might get beat or this person might get beat rather than just looking at the cold, hard facts? Because sometimes I feel like that, dude. I'm to the point now. You
got to, in a sense. You know what I mean?
What's
Like, I'm in a very lucky position right now. Like, so if it wasn't an Australian, I would be the dude that would be looking for for the reasons why, you know. But me, I'm just like waving my flag and I'm like, go Jett, go Hunter. But, you know, like, as a sport, we kind of have to, you know, and like on the broadcast, it's like, can it be today? But I will say, like, I was in the truck at Washougal with the boys. They didn't like that. Not that they didn't like that track. That's a difficult track for them, you know? So it's like, that was a real storyline. Like, I think that if Jett lost the moto at Washougal, he would have come straight out and said, like, oh, well, it's got to end sometime. Like, this is a hard track for me. So it's like, the dude is human. He can lose.
Yeah.
But it's like, as a sport, you know, and as analysts, like, you got to look for those what if scenarios, you know. But it's like but then I think at the same time, like, there has to be a balance of, hey, what we're watching is really, really special. And I think there's been some comments like, oh, Jett's not changing the game, and you know, he's not doing what other guys before him have done. And man, I completely disagree. Like, Loretta's this week, it was like the Jett Lawrence effect. And like, people were saying it over the PA. It's like, oh, he's riding this line like Jett Lawrence. Dudes were like the tunnel jump after the finish. Guys are like doubling down you know, and everyone's doubling bumps. Like, I mean, the kid is changing the sport. And I think that, so from my perspective, there's got to be a balance between, like, let's look for the storylines where, like, he can potentially get beat, because we need to talk about those, but also let's enjoy absolute brilliance that this family they've been working towards this for years, and the commitment to technique and never letting your kid go out there and send it, and always working on drills, working in the quiet. Like, they are really doing some cool stuff. And I think we need to have a balance between enjoying what we're seeing and also finding the holes in the game, because they are there.
Hey, for both. RV, Cody Simons 23 says, I'm looking forward to your answer on this. Is Jett's style more of an advantage in motocross, or will we see the same dominance in Supercross?
I'm going to say there's no advantage on either side. I think his technique, the way he rides a motorcycle, is going to very much suit him in Supercross, if not maybe even more. I think the kid is, I think what I see when he rides, he's just very, very precise. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He learns from them right away. And I think it translates to outdoors too. Now, I know that tracks are different. They just, you know, they get beat up, they get rough. And sometimes to ride outdoors fast, you don't look pretty. I mean, Ricky, you weren't pretty riding. I wasn't very pretty. Kevin was a very pretty rider. Hunter and Jett, they're pretty riders. Eli's not a pretty rider, I don't think. There's some guys that have to hang it out there to do that speed, and there's other guys that just do it like it's like poetry in motion almost, you know. So I don't see a difference in Supercross and Motocross. I think what we see of Jett right now, he's going to come into Supercross the same, if not better, and we'll have Eli back in the mix for Supercross. So that's going to be, you know, you're going to have the new dog and the old dog coming in and finishing it off and fighting for that championship. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an insane Supercross season, to be honest, with those two.
It's going to be wild. Dude, and the playoffs. I'm excited for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have Cooper on a different bike. Like, how insane is that you see a dude start a Supercross season on one bike and then essentially finish the Supercross season on another bike? And it's like, and it's all above board. That's how it's going down, you know?
You know what? To like kind of expand on that, and Coop being on a different bike for the playoffs, it got me thinking. I was thinking about this the other day of just like you take that Monster Energy Star Yamaha team, dude. They're gonna have Eli, and they're gonna have Coop. Okay, dude. I feel like that is a powerhouse team because Coop's gonna want to be putting it to Eli. Eli is not gonna want to settle and be the second man on the team. I think that Jett's going to be Jett, and assuming Hunter moves up and Joe takes his spot, I feel like Honda, HRC, and Yamaha. I feel that that's some serious powerhouse teams right there, dude. I mean,
and just think about it's for me. It's the most exciting. Like this is why I love my job because it's like this is the most exciting time I think Supercross has ever had. Like. To that point, in 2 teams, you've got 4 dudes that are as gnarly as it gets. And then
they can win. All of them can win.
All the other teams, and it's like we've never seen a perfect season in Supercross. So I guess to that, like maybe the question before, but it's like I don't think it'll be as easy for Jett in Supercross. Like we've never seen a perfect season. Like we've seen 3 in the outdoors, maybe 4. And it's like we've never had one in Supercross. And it's like there's just something about that sport. And I think it's why we all love it so much. And it's why people all over the world love it. Is that like, you really don't know who is going to win. And it's like this year coming up, like even the playoffs, man, like that is going to be an insane ride.
Hey, RV,
it's going to be gnarly. Yeah.
Dude, RV, you talk about, that was great, Jase, like undefeated Supercross. What is it, 17 rounds?
We have Emick to thank for that, by the way. We should give him his flowers.
Like, I don't in this day, and because there's so much parity, dude, I don't think anyone can go undefeated in 450 Supercross. I'm gonna go ahead.
I'd agree.
You think, RV? I don't think.
No, so. I don't think with the amount of races that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In the time, I know it's 20 minutes. It's just one gate drop. I think there's a different. From when I would go for Supercross for me was, and probably for you too, but like I would much rather line up outdoors and go and race because I knew I had 30 plus 2. It's about 35 minutes. You get 2 gate drops. I can still get the overall. It doesn't mean I'm going 1-1 both times and I'm getting 24-0. But to the point of our conversation is it's a perfect season. But I feel like it is easier to win outdoors than it is to win Supercross for whatever reason.
Yeah. I agree 120%.
I'm just going to have to take your word for that, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
there's
so.
There's just a whole different set of pressure, and you go down to the stadium floor, and I mean, I don't know. It's just I know everybody shows up at outdoors ready and their reaction time on the gates really no different from Supercross to outdoors. But for whatever reason, you line up at Supercross. The weight of lining up down on the floor for a main event, going in and racing for wins or a championship I just feel is like it's almost double the pressure of going outdoors for whatever reason.
Well, you think about like just think about it from like a square footage perspective. So like let's go Redbud. You've got 40 bikes on like how many thousands of square feet, and then you shrink that down to this little shoebox and you put 20 guys on now hundreds of square feet. Like even from that perspective, it's like that's a minefield, dude. And you guys are getting up into lappers in no time, and it's like that's a problem that can never be solved. Like you're lapping really great riders, So I just think like just the variables, the amount of bikes in that super small area, it's like it's one of the gnarliest sports on the planet.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thanks, Cody. Cody Simons, 23. That was good. That was a good question. It was. Things. I just this day and age, to your guys' point, like RV, 100% lock. You're spot on, and of course Jase as well. Like square footage. I mean, everything's just so tight and dense and Supercross. The margin of error is so tight. In Supercross, it's hard. And RV, to RV's point, you don't have time to, peel back the onion, and the 20 minutes is over before you know it. And these guys are so good. So, and then you start pushing it, in Supercross, one little slip and the whoops, and it's game over, dude. You got tough
And
blocks, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it just comes down to like guys. Like I always felt like outdoors, I could never not follow somebody. I always could find a line. But Supercross, you're subject to about 12 foot. It's 12 feet or 14 feet wide, essentially, right? So, and then you do get lines that get completely blown out, and so it's not even an option. I know outdoors has that, but sometimes we're dealing with 20 foot wide parts of tracks. You know, Unadilla, for example, that we're going to this weekend, really big and wide. Really, you know, just you have lots of opportunity for line selection. You never have to follow, and maybe that's why the pressure was a little bit harder. To Jase's point, the lappers. I mean, some of these tracks were into lappers within 8 minutes, and you know, and now you got to deal with the minefield in front of you, plus keep the guys off your breathing down your neck, trying to make that pass.
Hey, Cody, thanks for that question. You get the quad lot question of the week. Jase, you know all about quad lot. They are your fellow Australians. They do a killer job, by the way.
They do a good job.
Yeah, they do. They are just like spot on, dude. Their marketing and just how they approach things, the athletes that they hire, they're marketing geniuses, and they make great products. So Cody Simons, slide into our DM. And we'll get you dialed in for some free quad lock stuff. So I guarantee you will love what they are producing. So thank you very much for being a fan of Title 24, listening and watching. We appreciate you. For the SMX rounds, Jase, are you going to all of them?
The first, maybe the Charlotte and the last one. Maybe I'll go to all three. I'm actually on a bit of a press conference mission at this point. That's one of the areas of the game that I think our sport really needs to develop. And I think that it's got to be from the media side, maybe the rider side a little bit. I think the riders, when they're in there and they're getting asked good questions, I think they do an awesome job. I think we saw that at Washougal. That was really great press conference. But I think as a sport, we're leaving a lot on the table there. So I personally would like to go just to sort of like be a part of trying to help out in that way, you know.
Jase, do you think it's a more of a professional look, the way our press conferences are? I mean, I always thought that, not every single press conference, by the way, but like Anaheim 1, when we have our big press conference, when Kenny showed up in his suit like 4 or 5 years ago, like I was like, yeah, I was at first, I'm like, man, kind of, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I agree with that. But then on the other hand, I started looking at it, I'm like, every major sport does that. If we're trying to compete and be like basketball, football, baseball, anything, big leaguers like that, our major press conference, like looking back on it, I'm like, he was a trendsetter then. And I think that's what all of our manufacturers should make the riders do, or the riders should just want to do on their own, instead of wearing our. And look, I know we got to wear our t-shirts. They're a little cheesy. They're just, they're plastered, but that's what it is. I get it. That it works for down and dirty press conferences or interviews and things like that. Trackside, got to have it. Don't change that. But for our press conference that leads everything off, that's the start of our entire season, I think they should dress up in suit and ties, man.
Well, I mean, I completely agree. Maybe not so much suit and ties. I think what I would say is, I think you should dress how you want to dress. Like, express yourself. I would like to see Aaron Plessinger come in a flannel with like a Red Bull and a KTM logo and a cowboy hat. You know, and then some sleeves cut off, and then I think Kenny should rock up in a suit, and I think Jett should rock up in like whatever $500 stupid shirt that he bought. I think Deegan should rock up. You know, I think Deegan should rock up wearing whatever. Sorry, they've got some alarm going off.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that should be the chance, and I think manufacturers should go like, all right, this is your grace period. Let's decorate it with a Yamaha, you know, pin, or like, there's ways to make it your own. But I think, man, like for some of the sports that I follow and really enjoy, I mean, dude, I'll be watching a UFC, watch the main event, and then while I'm watching that, I've got my iPad going because the press conference is going. And I think that there's so much juice that comes out of that. But I think in our sport, it's multifaceted, but I think like maybe us as media need to get together and say like, hey, let's not just try and steal our one-on-one, what happened this weekend. Maybe there's a way where it's like, ask all your questions at the press conference. Don't be doing the one-on-one mic thing. If I ask the question, I clip it for my channel. You can't clip it for your channel. And then you get your question. Like, let's figure out a way to come together. Maybe it'd stoke the riders out more. Maybe it'd force the promotion to put more and more effort into it. So I think maybe like a bit of a joint effort, you know, kind of like a rising tide floats all boats kind of scenario. And I think that we could really create something super cool and give fans more of an inside look and create like the content that can live off from that. You guys playing it, you know, clips on your show, reacting to it. I think that, yeah, we're leaving a lot on the table. So I guess that I kind of took over the question there, but yeah, I think
you're good.
I would like to go to the playoffs just to be a part of that and do what I can to like thrive in that area. Also watch some go racing.
Yeah. Dude, no, I love what you're talking about. I think that'd be great. RV, to your point, I like when I was at first, I was like, when Kenny showed up in a suit, I'm like, that's it. I wouldn't even say it was weird. It was just like, I think I was caught off guard. I don't
exactly.
know that I had a feeling about it. I was just like, but then it was cool, right?
Yeah, it caught everybody off guard. We weren't expecting it. You know, that's the biggest thing. It's like, whoa, okay.
But I think that
afterwards you're like, we've only seen it worked out.
We've only seen it once though, and I think that's kind of sad. So I think that there's something. So if that's what he wanted to do, and then we never saw it again, there's a reason. Something's happened to where either he felt he couldn't do it, or maybe the industry reaction. So that's where I think it's like a group effort to be like, let's maybe let a few things, you know, let's experiment. Let's no wrong answers here, and you know, see if we can kind of, I don't know, maybe. I just think it's a big part of sports, like really growing, you know?
Well, and I think we're in a great spot too with the characters and the athletes and their personalities that we have with the Lawrence brothers and the story that's behind it. You know, you got Kenny from Germany. I mean, it is, you know, all these world athletes. And then you got Hayden Deegan as well. Dude, there's just so much meat to tag on to. We've got to, I think the better that we can take advantage of that, it's going to help everybody. It's going to help the riders. It's going to help the sport, and we'll get the attention and the dollars that we've all, number one, deserve for the risk, especially the riders that they take and everyone's hard-earned time. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think we're in a unique spot for sure.
Well, we have a lot of characters right now, and I think our sport hasn't had a lot of characters maybe ever. I mean, compared to what we have right now, you got AP, you got both Hunter and Jett, you know, doing a good job. You have Joe, and then you have the AP, you have the Deegan, you know. So I think there's a lot of characters that need to their personalities really need to come out, because I think I know I lived in a box, wasn't the funnest guy to be around, kind of a lot of the same answers, very monotone.
Yeah, it's changed so
a lot
much
for the better.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
What was it, Ryan, that did stop you? Like, did you feel a weird pressure to be a certain way, or you were just like so in the grind that it wasn't, you just didn't even have the extra bandwidth? Because like I could see it going so many different ways.
As for the retirement part?
No, like as to, I guess, why you got cool when you retired and why you felt like you had to be at the box.
I think I don't know. I think my mom and dad weren't super outgoing people, like, you know, not in a bad way, but we kind of did our own thing. And that's how I was a lot as coming up. And then also too, I think, I guess I didn't know, number one, I didn't know my, call it power or how much I actually could persuade things. Even as much as to the race team side of it. I thought I had to kind of, you know, live in this box. I've only ever watched interviews on, you know, like watching Supercross and Motocross, and this is how you do it, right? I mean, that's why I
You were
kind of grew
following the
up,
blueprint kind of thing.
yeah, following the blueprint so much, and without, like I said, my dad or my mom wasn't like, oh, you need to do this, or you need to be, to be more like this. My dad was always for, you need to give the interviews, and you need to be, available for the media and things like that. Don't ever turn anybody down, things like that. But as for trying to be my own person or my own character, just wasn't, I don't know. I didn't know how to do it, I guess would be the best thing. And then once I retired, like, I didn't have a lot of anybody to really answer to. And that's where, I like to have fun. I like to go out and go to Loretta's and stay out late every now and then, or, just go mingle and be with good people, good conversation, and wherever that leads us is where it leads us. And I can have, I'll go till the sun comes up if we need to. If the group's going, let's go.
Yeah.
Type thing, and I think that's where I kind of have learned myself more being retired. Wish I could have done it while racing, because I think if I would have had this mentality while racing, I think my value, and I would have learned to have a lot more fun with it, and not look to say, got to go back to the farm on Monday and go train. I got to run on Sunday when I get home. Me and Eldon got to go running for 20 minutes, get back on the road bike in the morning. I never could unplug. And I think that's just what burned me out.
Same. Yeah. I think
fair.
too, Jase, I think too, like, and I think that it was probably the same for RB. I think we're so programmed to win. And when you're like that, the mental side of it, not even so much the physical side, just the mental side, dude, you're so burnt out and you're just so whipped mentally. At least that's how it was for me. That, dude, when the last race of the season was over, I felt a massive weight lifted off my shoulders, not even physically, just mentally. I'm like,
just
oh
relief.
my gosh. Right. And dude, it's just, things are different. The style of riding is different now than it was when RV and I were racing and having our, our great seasons. It's just these guys, like, it's all, they want to win too, but I just think it's different. Like, they're okay with a second or third, at least it seems like that. Or they're content with being on the box, where I feel like RV and I, championship wise, we were okay with being on the box, but damn, we wanted to win 120%. I just think there's just it's just a different time. I don't think that our way was the wrong way. It's just, I do wish that I could have lived in a time like what these guys are living in. I think it would have been fun. I think we should have embraced it a little bit more, but if we would have, I don't know, maybe we wouldn't have been as dominant. It's just, it's so hard. I can speculate, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's a generational thing, or an era thing, right? Like, me and Ricky came up not far apart, and our dads were very similar. Now we're seeing this whole next generation come up, and I was talking to somebody at Loretta Lynn's about it. Like, my dad wouldn't give me the silent treatment from Loretta's to back to Washington, which is like 35 hours.
A long ride.
Long drive.
Long
It's
ass
a long
ride. Yeah.
drive
Like, it's a long drive. So, but we went there for, like, and this is where I see myself being different with my kids, is we went there for a reason, which if I brought my kids, I'm going there for a reason too. And if I got to get on them or be really hard on them, or if they did something wrong or screwed up or made a stupid mistake, I think from what I kind of see this next generation, or the kids we see at Loretta's now, is you've got to have that hard line in the sand about getting on them, really telling them what they did wrong. I mean, I'm talking, even if it's yelling and it's screaming, and it's 15 minutes of that. And then after that, you draw the line in the sand. Okay, now let's go have dinner as a family, or let's go get in the creek. And but I'm done talking about it. We're done. Unless you do it again, but you got to be able to let it go. And I think that's where, like, when I came up was hard, because my dad on Monday would be still bummed, right? And it's like, you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It made me who I was today. It made me tough. It made me push harder. So I wouldn't.
But it's heavy.
Wanted it really. Yeah, it's heavy in it, and I think you can have both. You can have the best of both worlds, that is being really hard on them, and then okay, stopping it, and then okay, let's move on. We're not going to talk about it again. Let's go get dinner. That's whatever we're going to do. Go in the river at Loretta's. Let's go have a good time. But you did do these things, and these were wrong, and we got to talk about them first. Then we can move on.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, like you guys were just part of this evolution. Like you look back at history and you can see why things were the way they were, and then what come after them. And it's like you had Ricky, then you had you guys and Dunge, and so there's like this sort of slow evolution, and it all makes sense why it is that way. But I think like we're blessed now as a sport. Like you guys said, we got all this personality, we've got all this talent, we're stacked in every single division. I think Supercross is a sport in terms of how it's run, how it's promoted, the TV, but like everything is, we're in like this purple patch right now. And I think like we've got a chance to almost like pick the direction, like let's pick what we want to go. Like, do we want to have these guys being able to show their personality? Do we want to have more engagement? And so I think we're lucky in that sense now. And it's like, we really do have a chance to almost like guide this thing in the direction, that we want to go. All the ingredients are there to cook something pretty special.
And I think guys have changed the way they think and train too. Like me and Ricky, we grew up on like more is more and more and more is better. Now guys are like, I know like, Hunter, Jett, and Eli, like they might ride 1 to 2 days a week, some weeks, let's say. And I don't know their programs, but I'm just throwing this off the cuff. Like it was literally Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, every single week. And then we'd have these weekends off we just had. Those would automatically be that we'd be back 4 days a week.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
Exactly, when we didn't fly on the weekends. And now you see the difference. And I think this is kind of where I needed to be on the bike. I think Ricky needed to be on the bike, but these guys now, they're learning to be as good as we were with a little less riding. It's like NASCAR guys, right? Or MotoGP, they don't get on the motorcycle unless it's Saturday and Sunday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's their practice. They race, practice, and learn all in one day. And we would have 4 days a week where we would do that. And even during season off weeks, 4 days a week. Now these guys, they're getting themselves to where they need to be with a little less riding.
And that's because of you guys, though, in a sense, though,
They figured out a way. They improved on our technique 100%.
That, and I think they wanted to have more fun than we had, which more power to them. I wish I could have done the same thing. It just wasn't in my DNA to do that.
No. And a lot, like social media has changed, I think, a lot of the game. And having fun, showing that personality. That, I mean, it's just changed tremendously. And now, like when I came in and I started having success, really like overworking, was able to beat the king, then guys like RV followed in footstep. Now you're starting to see the guys that are a little bit, I wouldn't even say smarter, just train different. Lawrence's, Eli, guys like that, riding a little bit less, but still getting those results. Now you're going to see that trend, to your point, RV, go that way, because that's what everyone's doing. Back in our day, you had to ride this much. Now the tide has changed to where this is the route that you can go, and this is what you have to do, and this is the amount of volume that you need to be doing to win. Well,
great.
I appreciate you, my friend. It has been an absolute pleasure for you to come on Title 24. I know RV and I were amped to have you on.
Totally.
Is there anything you want to say, bud?
No, I appreciate you guys. It's really cool. Maybe you guys don't get the credit that you deserve too, because neither of you need to be here. I think RV, you could still be crushing cores at a river somewhere. Ricky, you could be doing the same thing. And I think that the fact that you guys are two, I mean, between us three, there's 25 championships at this table. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that you guys are still doing what you're doing for the sport and still care the way that you care, and I understand that there's only a certain level of like insight and perspective that I can offer. You guys are the real dons of this game, and I think to have guys like yourself and to have Stu back in the sport, with the commentary that he's adding, it's pretty epic, and I think you guys are really adding to the culture of what we've got going on. So just want to say thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys, and we're very lucky as fans to have shows like this to tune into.
Thank you very much, my friend. You're
Yeah,
a good
no,
man.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Best of luck. We'll be seeing you. I'll be at Dilla this weekend. RV, are you going?
No, Dill. I think the next one for me is going to be Coliseum, I think.
Oh, wow. All right. You going this weekend, Jase?
No, I think I might go to NASCAR this weekend, actually.
I guess I'm the only guy going to Unadilla, so.
SVG.
I figured that one was a little too hard away from the hotels, a little too far from the hotel.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Dilla's actually
I'm still not convinced that the promoters are going to let me in the place after what I said last time I was there. So that was when I was young and cocky and probably should have held back my words. So I've taken them back. They've done a good job since then. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there making the 90-mile drive to the hotel, to and from the track each and every day. And yeah, that's it. But again, Jase, pumped for you. Congrats on all your success with Gypsy Tales. Everyone that tunes in to watch or listen to Title 24, make sure you go over there and listen to Jase's epic podcast. It's long form, but it's awesome, very intimate. And these guys, he's got some great guests on there, some of the best, you name it. He's had them on there. So good job, and we'll see you down the road, my friend. Man, it was awesome. That was good to have Jase on. That was good.
Yeah, no, he's I love seeing his stuff, clips on Instagram. It's cool to hear his story, how he, coming over, get thrown back out, still here, the love of the sport, trying to make a better pathway for media, for riders and all that. So like his insight, he's got some good stuff.
Right. Hey, looking forward to Motorsports on NBC this week. Always remember, it all starts with SMX Insiders, Gant and Jason Thomas on YouTube. Then Saturday, race day lives at 10 a.m. Eastern from Unadilla on Peacock. Moto 1s for that day will be at 1 p.m. on Peacock, but Moto 2s will be available both on Peacock and NBC at 3 p.m. Cannot wait for that. And then 2:30 p.m. is the NTT IndyCar Series at Indianapolis Road Course. That's I love the road course at Indy. Then 5 p.m. is Xfinity Series Road Course. That's on USA. Both of them are on USA. And then shifting gears to Sunday, I'll be home by then. I am going to watch the Cup Series at Indy Road Course. We're getting down to the wire before the playoffs start, so it's going to be go time. If you're a Chase Elliott fan, you're going to be bummed because he went out early at Michigan last week. So he is getting to crunch time. The dude is going to have to win. Unadilla, I want to share a quick story, RV. I can't remember if you were there or not, but 2005, I think you were. Were you there?
Six. I did the last 3 of outdoors, which was Binghamton, Steel City, and Glen Helen of 05.
That was an interesting one for me. I'm sure a million people have seen it on YouTube, but me and Stu, my teammate in the NBC broadcast booth, we were going. I fell down early and played catch up, and then boom, we're coming down the long hill, and he lands on me. Anyhow, obviously he didn't mean to do that. So what happened? So Stu and I have talked about it. I'm coming down the inside of that hill, and RV, you know what happened. So when I'm coming down, I check up because I didn't want him to cross back underneath me, and he wasn't anticipating me to do that. He just, he's like, I didn't think you were going to slow down, so I was going to cut back across you. And I'm like, come on, dude, you honestly thought I wasn't going to slow down and protect the inside? He's like, I promise, dude. Obviously, I didn't want to land on you. And then he told me by the time he started to turn and accelerate, that's when he noticed. He's like, oh no, this dude is slowing down. And luckily, I was able to get up and finish the race. I think I got second. I think K-Dub won that one. And nevertheless, hey, I'll take personal responsibility for it, RV, because I was in the lead early. I think I fell on the second lap and then had to play catch up. Had I not fallen, I wouldn't have been in that position. So that's right. When you make stupid mistakes. What is your what's a good one for Unadilla for you? I think it was maybe 2000.
Yeah, 2011. Me and Dunge raced really, really, really hard that entire season. I don't think I had won a first moto up until Unadilla, or sorry, second moto up until Unadilla. We
Really?
struggle with the motorcycle. Yeah, we struggle. I think I won a lot of first motos and couldn't get through a second moto. And we struggle with the motorcycle a lot. We were changing shocks in between motos and just couldn't find something that wouldn't beat me to death in the second motos. And it was rough. It was rough because every time I'd come out, I could win the first moto, and after the second moto, I could lead for about 15 minutes or so, and here comes Dunge, and he'd pass me. So, 2012, they actually had changed the frame on the 2012 Kawasaki 450, and there's a homologation rule that everybody knows about. There has to be 200 or 250 for sale in either warehouses or on showroom floors. And that was right around August. So it's August now. So it's this coming weekend. And they were sitting in warehouses. So I flew from Florida last minute to California to go test this frame. And I was able to, this isn't a joke. I rode it through the parking lot at Glen Helen, and I rode back to the truck. And I told them because it was my same forks, same shock. It was the identical motorcycle frame, was just a little bit different. And I rode back up, and I'm like, I can already feel the difference. And they're like, you're lying. And you haven't touched a track. I'm like, I promise you, I'm riding through the parking lot and I can feel a difference up through my lower back and like just a little bit more compliant. Went out and rode it, confirmed it, went to Unadilla and went 1-1 on the day. And that was the first time I had done it that year. And that was also, I believe, the year that Steel City, Dunge led every lap except for the last lap of the first moto.
Wow.
I passed him with that last turn to go. So.
Dude, that is an epic story. Isn't it crazy, dude? You just like felt it that quick?
Yep. Yep. And I think it just comes down to, like, as you know, we rode so much. We knew the motorcycle like the back of your hand and what it was going to do and where it was good, where it was bad. And you could show up to a track and kind of see it, understand it, and be like, I'm gonna probably struggle second moto just because I knew what I had dealt with already 9 or 10 rounds before that, or races before that. So it was definitely a weight off my shoulders to not have to struggle in the second moto, and to
know like just a little bit of affirmation to know that it wasn't you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that too.
I'm good. I still got it.
That's right.
Sweet. Well, we went long today, everybody. Thank you very much. It was for good reason. Again, thank you to Jase Macalpine at Gypsy Tales for coming on. RV, I know you are on a little trip with the kiddos. Thanks for thanks for making it happen. You're a great partner.
No, it's good, buddy. We're gonna go check out some Universal Studios. I think we're going to Super Mario World. So
there you go. I love it. I love it. United Motorsports, Quad Lock Case, and Boxo USA. We appreciate you guys, and we couldn't be here without you guys. If you want to watch, remember to go to NBC's YouTube page, NBCsports.com, or Peacock. Remember, we are on demand on Peacock, so you can go back and watch other episodes. And we are on Amazon Music. Just head over to Amazon.com/NBC Sports to get all the Peacock shows. And remember to leave your comments, like, and keep those questions coming. We appreciate all of you guys, and everyone have a great week. Again, thank you for the support. Artie and I are super thankful, and we'll be back again, and we're going to do it and talk some Unadilla. Will Jett go down, or will he keep the streak alive, and is Hayden going to keep up that dominant ride that he had in Washougal?
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.